Hi and welcome to Ida and Her Books. I'm Ida and these are my books. I am once again trying a new location to see where I'm most comfortable filming, and not sure about this. I feel like it's very zoomed out, but we'll see. It will work for this video at least. Today I'm doing a review for the Percy Jackson series. Yeah, I've read all 5 of them this past 2 weeks, and I have also annotated them, and I thought I will tell you about my thoughts about these books. This will be a non-spoiler review, and I will telling you the plot of the first book and then just talk generally about the next 4. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief is about a 12-year-old boy named Percy Jackson who discovers that he is a half-blood or a demigod. His father is one of the Greek gods and his mother is a regular human. When he discovers this, he's taken to a camp for half-bloods outside of New York, where he gets training to become a fighter, because most half-bloods become some type of hero. At this camp, he finds out that he is being accused by Zeus for having stolen his lightning bolt, and he's sent on a quest to retrieve the lightning bolt. He brings with him his friends Annabeth and Grover on this quest, and yeah, this book has been made into a movie. Don't watch the movie, read the book. And yeah, I very much enjoyed this series. I think the characters are great. They grow throughout the books. It's about a year between each book, and so you get to follow Percy and his friends grow up from the age of 12 to 16. And I really think that Rick Riordan, the author, maybe I haven't said, the author is Rick Riordan. I really think the author have let the characters grow in a very natural way. In the first book I kept thinking, yeah, that's what a 12-year-old would do. That seems plausible, that seems believable. And by the last book, I sometimes do this with the Harry Potter books as well, because they get treated like adults. I think of them as adults, but sometimes something happens and I'm like, oh yeah, he's just 16, he's just 15, he's just a child. And it becomes very apparent at some moments. He's been forced to grow up in advance because of his destiny as a hero. And well, that's hard for anyone, especially a teenager, to grow up with that burden. I have the first 2 books in Swedish and I have the last 3 in English, and so I had to change what language I was reading in as I read. For anyone else interested in reading in Swedish, I can say that both of these books are translated by different people. I do think both of them did a great job. I never felt like something was unclear. I never felt like something had been translated. I never felt like I would have done it differently. I think that they very much took Rick Riordan's original text and made it work very well in Swedish. And so if you want to read the Swedish translation, I say go for it. It was fine. But it's always much more fun to read in English, in the original language. You can tell that I am too old for these books. Not in a I could figure out all the plot twists kind of way. More of Percy would describe things in a way that would be quite absurd, that would be fun, I think, if you're also a 12-year-old or 15-year-old. I found it to be quite silly. Because the books are written from Percy's perspective, it becomes one of his character traits that he is quite silly. They all have like their tics and character traits and such that Rick Riordan has stayed true to throughout the entire series. For example, that Grover starts eating inanimate objects when he's nervous or upset. So he's chewing down like silverware or tables or even his own clothing if he gets upset, and I find that hilarious. I think the world building is great. I think for each book they introduce more and more gods, more and more monsters, and more different aspects of this world that you didn't know about before, creating quite a believable world. First of all, things like the mist that exists all around us that makes mortals not see things as they are. That, together with the fact that monsters crumble to dust when they get killed, means that they don't have to do a lot of explaining. If the police shows up, the monsters just disappear and they can believe whatever they want. I like that, and that would explain why the gods have been around for 3,000 years and no one knows about them. One thing that did bother me about these books, that by the time, I think it was the 4th book, yeah, in both 4th and 5th, when looking back at things that had happened, they didn't quite have the timeline right. In the beginning of the 4th book, they say, a few years ago this happened, but it happened 2 books ago, and that's a year, because one of the books takes place in winter. And then a little bit later they say something happened 3 years ago, but that also wasn't 3 years ago. So I think Rick Riordan had trouble remembering what he had written before. Another thing that bothered me, the fact that the books are very heteronormative. I did not see or remember any homosexual couples or lesbian couples or non-cis characters or non-straight characters. All the relationships that you were told about were between a man and a woman, or a tree and a satyr. But yeah, I really enjoyed the story. I really did. I think they're fun, they're quite lighthearted, even though the story gets quite dark from time to time, but it's very good. I don't have any more to say about it. I know I'm late to the game, everyone else has already read them, but if you haven't, you really should. And if you have, read them again, they're great. I was a little nervous getting into them because they've been so hyped, and I read the first one several years ago, and I remember it as very good, but then I haven't read them for years, maybe like 10 years. And I've seen the movies, both the first and second one, and yeah, I did really enjoy the books. I liked them very much. That's all I had to say. What did you think about the books? Have you read them? Leave a comment down below, tell me what you think. If you haven't read them, do you want to read them? I really think you should. I right now have the dilemma of, no, the books are not in order. I right now have the dilemma of having not only the first 2 in Swedish and the rest in English, but also having each and every one of them in different editions. They don't match at all. So, but now I've annotated them as well, with all these pretty notes. And so, should I repurchase them as one set and remove all my annotations? Or should I keep these because these ones are annotated? I don't know. What do you think? Tell me below. I have no idea actually. There's not a single one that matches, literally. But if I get rid of these, I have to remove all my tabs. Should I re-tab the next books? Or should I just keep the tabs, reuse them? I don't know. How do people do? I don't know. But that was all I had for today. Leave a comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram and all that. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!